Hello, relatives. I want to welcome you to my channel. Oh my gosh, let me step out just for a second. I'll be right back. Hope you can hear me. Sorry about that. Let me get these headphones on. I thought I was prepared, but apparently I wasn't. So I want to, in the meantime, stall for time until I get myself back up. I didn't plan on going on camera, guys, so please excuse me. Let me go ahead and just start to introduce myself. My name is Michael. I'm from the Ihongtuan Oyate, the Yankton Sioux people of South Dakota. And I am just a dude that likes to do these readings. I've been doing them for around, I'm rather camera conscious. I don't consider myself I don't consider that the camera is fond of me. Let's just put it that way. I've always been like that, and it's something that I don't like. That I don't feel that comfortable in front of the camera. But anyways, enough of that. So, like I said, it's kind of what I meant by that is it's kind of a surprise that I'm on camera. I meant for it to not capture not show me. It's early in the morning, blah, blah, blah. So I hate to sound boring to you, relatives, but I'll just explain. This is just a basic meditation reading out of this book, nothing fancy. This is called the Meditation with Native American Elders. And so what I do is I just read out of that, and then I just share about what I read. It's my personal opinion about what I read. So it's my, what is that, objective? It's my opinion. And so this isn't anything that's professional. I'm not trying to be a medicine man or a guru here. I've been doing this on Facebook for okay. Oh, so I'm finding out a little bit more and more about this whole YouTube thing. But I've been doing this on another social platform for this is my 7th year that I've been doing this. So lately I've been wanting to do it in the morning to get my day started. And this is just my second video where I'm actually doing it on YouTube. Um, I usually do it more often when I'm on the other social platforms. So I'm hoping to slowly build up my comfort level with YouTube. So please bear with me, like and share. Like I said, it's nothing fancy, but hopefully it's just my effort to try and do something. These readings really mean a lot to me, relatives. And let me just tell you that if you don't know me, I will refer to you as relatives because once we get past all this division, the separation of skin color, politics, as important as that stuff is, there's no doubt about it, as significant as it is, there is a part of us within, I believe, that relates to each other far more than that which divides us. So, anyways, I do want to say Hihana Wash Day to you. Good morning. And today is the 22nd. And so what I'll do is I just read out of this book and I just share about what I read. And I try and bring my day, create a positive energy to my day because I tend to wake up, just kind of like just sort of pouty about having to get up and wanting to stay in bed. My mind goes right to reasons to stay in bed, reasons to have a negative perspective and outlook on my day, on my sacred day. They say every day is sacred. And so that's that's what I'm working up against my own mind. Of course, there's a lot of validity to that. That is valid considering that our lives are basically revolve around a clock on the wall. So these um, readings are relatively timeless, if that makes sense. So I won't go too much talking. Everything's so simple, and we make everything so complicated. That's why we're confused. The Creator designed a very simple set of laws for us to follow. If we follow these simple things, we'll be happy. If we don't follow these simple things, our lives become complicated. For example, respect Mother Earth, love one another, be truthful, give to your brothers and sisters, be gentle with each other, be happy. Following these simple laws will have great rewards. And then there's a very brief prayer at the bottom. Great Spirit, let me lead a simple life. I think that's really correct when they say that life is definitely complicated. I could break my life down into parts, and then I could talk about really about how complicated each part is. My family life, my personal life with dating and stuff like that, my work life, the parts of me that about my hobbies, my spirituality, my mentality, my mental health, my physical health, certainly. And so I know I said my spiritual health, and so my emotional aspect of what are my emotions like. And so I could really, once if you said share about that or talk about how complicated that word is, and complicated is just a word, but certainly I understand it, because for me every single aspect about who makes up Michael, think about it, who, what parts, portions of you make up you, split it off, and I can tell you right now that even in each individual portion of that is very complicated, and understandably so. It is very complicated to live in this rush, hustle, and bustle. Pressures to succeed, pressures to get up and make time, be on time, and it's like a machine. And as a collective, I am basically, it's almost like to me, I feel like I'm very replaceable in that respect when looking at it as a machine. But personally, I feel that's the complication of it. When I simplify it, I also believe that I am very replaceable from the perspective of the machine. But from an aspect, from a personalization of what is my individual belief, I know that I know, and I'm not trying to brag here, but I equally feel the same about you. Potentially, whether you don't know that or whether you feel as though you could be giving more, but it all comes back to how complicated this culture has made things. And so that is what we're up against. It's almost like if your life isn't complicated, then you're sort of, if it is complicated, then it's almost like, okay, it's supposed to be like that. Life is supposed to be complicated. And I think that it is, but I think that also the teachings of simplifying it are going to be of great value as we progress through our lives. Like, for one, I'll just use this as an example. And this is easy, and an easy example. The tough part is simplifying, like, the emotions, simplifying the mental health, simplifying the physicality. What does my diet look like? What does, I mean, my gosh, if I can just create a vision, just envision that, what does my life look like with a more simple diet, a more healthy diet? When I think of simple, we usually think of like something that isn't enough, right? But that is coming from the perspective of this culture. that it has to be complicated in order for it to be understood. Now, isn't that kind of an oxymoron? Or it has to be complicated for it to be effective? For me, I can see now why my life is so complicated, and at the same time why struggle with anxiety, and I have a hard times in my relationships, because it is so complicated. There are a lot of variables, so I'm not trying to minimize my own experience. I'm not trying to minimize your experience, relatives. All I'm doing is just sharing, and I'm thinking, yes, it is definitely quite complicated. But let me take a look. Like for me, my great challenge these days is my health. I just turned 52, and I've been knowing for at least a decade that I need to make changes to my nutritional health. And I come up with all these excuses, and really what they seem to be are just excuses of why I'm not facing. Now I'm looking at, if I can envision where this is going, it's not good. But have I made changes to my nutritional health? Yes, absolutely. And I'm proud of those changes. I've cut out things in my life. I hardly ever drink soda pop. I love soda pop. I rarely ever go out to eat. So those are positive changes that I had set for myself. Very simple changes. Now, the other things that I had done for my physical health, as far as my nutrition and my body, because I need to be able to at least look in the mirror and love the person and appreciate the person that is looked at. I see in the mirror. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect, because I'm absolutely not. I have some work to do. It doesn't appear though. That's just because of the way that I'm sitting and the way that I'm posing, right? So I'm not being hard on myself. I'm not trying to be hard on myself per se, but I am definitely trying to live a lifestyle where honesty is a part of my life, self honesty, because we live in a culture that complicates itself through a system of denial and rationalization. I will rationalize, and then one day I'm going to end up in the hospital, and then the doctor's going to tell me what I've known all along. Really, like, it's really quite predictable, right? And so, hey, you know what? If you want to reach out to me and say, let's partner up and let's hold each other accountable in this way of life, right now in this time of my life, I simply lack the connections. I believe that is absolutely true. We lack the connections, and if that's very simple, is our relationships. And sometimes we just lack the connections in our relationships. If we simplify it, look at it from a simple way, we often lack the connections with somebody else, where we openly share, and we openly, not just the sharing of, hey, this is what I want for my life, because we can do that in the elevator, we can do that um, in the parking lot, and then just move on with our lives. But rarely do we ever go deeper than that. And what does that yearning, that want, that knowing, that wisdom actually look like? And then we will be able to find, because that, first of all, that information is just right at your fingertips, right? But that information is actually already within us, and it's there for a reason. And if all our if when we break it down, if all our energy is devoted to looking away from that perspective, from that wisdom, then it sort of creates a pattern of looking away from complicating. And that's, to me, what leads to the complication, is that either an inability, because for a lot of people, including myself, there was an inability to find that which was already within me. And so I was looking outside of myself. And that's what really complicated things. And so there was an inability to do that. And I won't really go too far into that because I'm looking at the clock. I'm deciding, oh my gosh, what time will I be? It looks like I'm going to be late, but how late am I going to be? So when that system is devoted, and it is like a fine running machine, right? It appears to be running flawlessly like a machine. It's like almost like it doesn't care. It just will go and go and go, eat you up and spit you out. But under those circumstances, if you consider what's invested in those machines, which is us, and those aspects of ourselves that have become ridiculously, and I mean that with a great amount of respect, because sadly, so complicated, you understand that what makes up those parts that keep that machine going are absolutely unquality parts. Oh, that's, please excuse me on saying that. Very fragile. But when I am able to simplify it, then it can also go another way. It becomes so simple, it's easy to deny. Or it becomes so simple that because we can actually need it to be complicated. Our minds have been reconstructed in pattern to a point where it can't be effective unless it's complicated. So if we simplify it, then it's just easy to deny. And so it's quite really simple, for me in my connection to my body. Get some exercise, eat more vegetables, don't go out and get cheeseburgers, which I love. Keep these things and make my life pattern, not just after what I already know, that innate wisdom. I don't need a doctor to tell me that. I don't need commercials to tell me that. I know that. That is, and if I deny that simple, innate, creator giving wisdom, then I am denying that wisdom which already resides in me. I'm actually contributing. I am the lone contributor. So I can be the lone investor and I can be the lone contributor, or can I reach out and I can find other people and connect and go beyond surface level and reach and start to live my life from beyond that surface level. And I know that sounds complicated, but that is the simplicity of this way of life. My body is speaking to me, my heart is speaking to me, my spirit is speaking to me. I won't go too far into that relatives. I'm Native American, and I could really, really go into some places that I like to go to, but I don't want to feel like I'm sort of pushing my ideology onto you or anybody else. I'm trying to form a deep connection with you, and not just that, have you have a deep connection with me. And what does that look like? And now I'm at a point of, now I know, what does simplicity look like? What does it feel like? Sometimes I'll have to create, most times this is what I would like to be able to do, is now create a vision for myself. Is what would my life look like with less soda in my life, with more exercise in my life? What would my life look like? But the hard part about that is actually being able to look in the mirror and being honest with myself, not with the with the input of others, but for myself. What kind of changes do I want for myself? And so myself, to keep it real simple, I know the changes. It's not so much cosmetically why I want, for me, it's not why I would want to make those changes. Certainly, I know that those changes are connected to my mental health, in such a way where I know my mentality will be sharper when I'm having a relationship, when I'm having these wonderful, just beautiful, nutritional foods in my life. What would my life look like physically if I could envision that and then also branch off like a tree? What would the benefits be? Self-confidence, right? More quality of life, more active, more connection with Mother Nature. And what would that look like in my creative, my hobbies? What would that look like? Excuse me. And so I like I'm in the, I just started painting last year, a year from now. So I'm just really excited about that. But what would my painting, what my hobbies look like? And I can branch off of that and I can say, oh man, I would probably be start looking and paying more attention. I would be out amongst, for me, bicycling and walking. And I'm not talking about hardcore gymnasium, boom, boom, boom. But if that's your style, maybe you're finding a connection with the music that you're listening to, or with the people that you're meeting, or with just the movement, and then the building of the muscle and burning of calories, and the breath work that you're finding. There's a lot to be found there if we just simplify it. See, what that which is simple actually starts to feel complicated to us. But when you break it down, breathing, movement, relationships, that's, I think, to me, seems like of the greatest value. And so, myself, when I think about the hobbies and how my painting could probably benefit from my own well being, what does my well being look like? And so, myself, that to me, when can envision my life, what would my life look like? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Um, when I break it down and create a very simple vision of that, more vegetables. Okay, well, what does that mean? I might have a negative attitude towards, oh, you hear it all the time. Oh, broccoli. I mean, as kids, that's what we said. But now, my gosh, if you look at and I don't mean to sound like airy or goofy here, but when you look at a plant, or you look at, don't you just see something just absolutely beautiful? That is grown from grandmother earth and has the nutrition value of that which we are a part of. And then, oh my gosh, isn't that just lovely on a plate? And relatives, trust me, I love pizza, I love hamburgers, I love a nice cherry coke or a beautiful root beer. Are you kidding me? Whew, i I deny myself that. Not altogether, but it's not, but those are the changes that I need to make in my relationships with people. I mean, I'm a single guy and I don't like being single, but I've been single for a long time. I'm not the type of person that feels like I need to bounce from one relationship to another. But myself, if I'm loving myself in that certain way, in these ways, quite simply loving myself, what does that look like? Then I think I'm creating somewhat of a pattern of living for myself, a pattern of thinking. I'm loving myself. And what does that look like? Then I think I'm reestablishing and setting new patterns into my life about what does love look like. It's just not a thought. It has become a movement, a fluidity. It has become motion, because now it's found its way into the art that I create. Now it's found its way into how I treat, and not just treat my body, but view my body. If I could just look at my body and say, you know what? I can see that I know now that I need to make changes in how I perceive myself. I'm going to look myself straight in the mirror and I'm going to say and I'm going to be real truthful. Truth is quite simple. We complicate it. right? And then now I'm able to set forth in motion by through action and through a different frame of thought, the simplicity. Myself, I felt so much better, like I'm not a minimalist, but I appreciate that. When I went into my closet and I just got rid of just a ton of stuff that I just didn't need. And it took a lot of work. I devoted an entire weekend and then some, but it's also just felt so good because um, these are things that I never wore, that were just there, that had this value of hanging on. They had this sense of hanging on, of which I don't need. Surrounding my space, surrounding myself with things that were attached to, well, I did buy that. And so it was it was a system that was attached, that was defined by the complications of a monetary value, as opposed to what is my life going to look like when I am not afraid to let things go. And so if you think about that in relative to the changes that I want to make to my body, what do I want to let go? And I know I'm complicating this. This video was meant to be about simplicity, but now I'm starting to complicate it. So with that, I just want to say, you know what? I'm just going to try these videos. I usually like to speak a lot in regard to bring into like my Indigenous Native American beliefs, and also with the fact that I'm a recovering alcoholic, a recovering drug addict. You might hear me, but that is not in any way, shape, or form meant to say if you drink, or if you, what is that word? If you recreationally do some type of drug, that is not meant to be in a position of where I'm trying to say you shouldn't do that. That is absolutely not a part of my message, because I just want to be somebody that loves people. That's really why I want to do these messages. I have long-term goals on why I do these videos, that apply into my short term and into my day. Because I just want to be the type of person that does something that hopefully can help somebody else. And in return, I'm getting something out of it because I'm talking and I'm sharing and I'm being open and I'm running a risk, and um, I'm trying. And so that's why I've decided to see what this whole YouTube is. I love YouTube. I watch it. This isn't a commercial. I watch it every night and I get a lot of value at it. But I've never really taken time out to go ahead and do that, take these readings. And to me, this is next level. But I sure appreciate in any capacity of being able to do these shares, because I do them all the time. I'm involved in online groups where we share, and we call them talking circles, and I absolutely love it. So I consider this a way of life, and I'm sorry that I don't really have time to go into too much of that, but certainly you're welcome to message me and ask about that. Today was, I kind of went off on an area that I kind of went off in a way that I typically don't really do when I do these readings. So I'm really curious of where that's going to lead. In this way where we can freely create patterns of thought, create patterns of living, create a vision for ourselves, either simplify it or either complicate it, either or, what energy we're going to put towards that. Um, so myself, I'm gonna get ready to go, and I hope you got something out of this, because at this point I'm a little bit curious, or a little bit fascinated on where this reading went, because I think it has to do with YouTube and me doing it on YouTube, because I'm really familiar with that other um, with that. It's almost like just being at home and doing that. Now I'm entered into a whole new arena. So I'm really fascinated by it. And I think that's why I accepted the challenge that I made for myself to go ahead and do that. Whereas I can always go back home and go to that other platform. But to me, this is just my way of seeing what's going on and expanding outward and seeing what's more is out there. So I will hope that you have a beautiful day, relatives. I will see you again soon.